Welcome everybody to this month's webinar series. This is Jen Maleka with Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, and we have our host for today's webinar, the HPA Access and Sex Hormone Testing for Health Coaches, our founder, Reed Davis, and Dr. Alan Weinstein as well. So really excited to share this content with you guys. Everybody that has shown up live today, don't forget you're going to get your free gift, which is the Hormone Physiology Its Insights Guide, which will get emailed out to you later today for showing up live. Be sure to type in your questions along the way into the control panel on GoToWebinar. We will reserve some time at the end for questions, and we have some other special things in store for you as well. So, Reed, I'm going to let you and Dr. Al go ahead and take it over.
Thanks so much. So glad to have everybody here. We have a nice full house. Dr. Al, how you doing?
I'm doing great. You guys hear me okay?
Yep, all good.
Yep.
Perfect.
So let's jump into it. So we've got a promise to make to you, first of all, a new way to work with clients, get better results, and build a referral practice. I'm assuming that everybody on this call is a health coach or allied professional of some sort, and you'll be attracted by that, I'm sure, and how you can run labs and what to do with the results, and then customizing protocols to work with each client based on those test results. And that is the super sauce magic formula. You can actually be the last person a client needs to see because you actually solve their health problems. And this is what we promise to cover. If you pay close attention, we guarantee that when you leave this webinar, you'll learn everything you need to know to take your business to the next level. One, by knowing how to figure out what's really wrong with your clients, and two, knowing how to fix it. And again, be that last person that they need to see. So you're going to learn functional lab testing for sex hormones and HPA axis assessment. We run a lot of labs and we can test for a lot of things, but in this series, we've been going through like the adrenals and cortisol and DHEA. And now we're going to move on to another very highly related area, the sex hormones. And of course, as always, we have to state that labs are not the problem. Lab test results are not the problem. They're just like symptoms. They're a reflection or a result of the real problem, and that's why we don't treat the paper, right? So what you need to do right now so that you never have to worry about that you don't have the skills or tools to help every client no matter what their problem is. So that's what you're going to learn, how to grow your business by getting real results your clients' health and well-being. And this is kind of a disclaimer, but kind of a really neat thing to think about. That's a great thing. It's a good thing that we're not using the medical approach. Medical treatment is for specific diseases or diagnosis or managing symptoms only, and that's not what people are coming for anymore. Health coaches identify healing opportunities, what functions or systems actually need help, and then, of course, we fix it. Medical treatment depends on drugs and surgery. We rely instead on the innate healing ability of the body and the behavior modifications and natural therapies included in our self-care program, which we're going to tell you about too.
Can I say,
or Jen, anytime you want to jump in, please do.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in because you made a point on the slide before, and looking at this slide, I think it's real important. You had said that the labs are really just another symptom of the problem, and health coaches actually, when they learn what we're going to talk about tonight, realize that we don't really treat the paper. We don't really treat the lab results. They're only a symptom. But the medical approach, which a lot of us have questions about how effective that is outside of the world of trauma, they treat the paper. They take a test and they use that as a criteria for that treatment, which is one of the reasons that treatment is so ineffective in a healthcare model versus a disease model.
Yeah, exactly. So you heard me mention metabolic chaos, and that's a big thing that we straighten out. So what is that? Well, it's a state where hidden stressors have caused malfunction, leading to symptoms, but the symptoms appear so far downstream that the root cause is unpredictable. And yet, as Dr. Al will tell you, that's exactly what most practitioners do. They assume that the problem is right there next to the symptoms, or directly related to the symptoms. We're going to show you how that's not true. For instance, the title of this presentation is HPA axis dysfunction, the sex hormone imbalances. We're going to show you how it's metabolic chaos manifesting as sex hormone imbalances, and how to tell whether your client has a real, hormone or adrenal problem or a metabolic chaos problem. And up to 80% of you and your clients are metabolic chaos clients, not real adrenal clients or hormone clients or thyroid clients or digestive or even immune system clients or any other diagnosis that's been handed down by a medical doctor. It's really a metabolic chaos case. And you'll learn what to do about it in each and every case.
Can I tell a quick?
So occluded metabolic chaos is when.
Again, I'm sorry. Again.
Occluded metabolic chaos. Go ahead, Al.
I'll let you finish. I want to tell a quick story about about looking for symptoms or looking at symptoms and then predicting what the client has. But finish what you were saying first.
Well, we all love your anecdotes. So occluded metabolic chaos is when intervention based on a traditionally reliable cluster of symptoms or even abnormal test results produces only a marginal response. Now, that's what people are coming to, folks. Listen to that. They're coming to you, and they've been to 5 people already, and they're only getting marginal responses, and that's because that no one's dealing with the real problem. So contributors to metabolic chaos are at cause. Metabolic chaos is the effect until guess what happens? It tumbles around, and we're going to show you how that works until metabolic chaos itself becomes the single most significant condition. They don't have one condition.
Let me tell my story now, because this is a great anecdotal story for what you just said. So a guy's crawling around, it's nighttime, and there's a guy crawling on his hands and knees by a street lamp. And when he's crawling, a cop comes over to the guy and says to him, "What are you doing?" And the guy goes, "I lost my keys." And the cop says to him, "Well, did you lose them over here?" He said, "No, but the light's better over here." And what the story means is we have a tendency to go with what we think is the easiest. Someone comes in with a symptom, we always predict, well, if that's the symptom, that must also be the problem. And it's like the guy crawling around where the light is, even though his keys are not there. So you really got to pay close attention, because what this is really all about is figuring out, really not based on the symptom or the lab test, which could be a symptom, but really where the problems exist. Because once you do that, as Reed said earlier, you become the last clinician that they have to see. That was my story. I thought it was a good story.
Amen. Yeah, good one, good one. So we're going to take a new example. We've been using lots of different types of clients as we go through these webinars and try to teach you to look at, way upstream, if you will. So let's take low testosterone. This is one of the most common things out there today. It's an anabolic steroid. It's made from cholesterol in the testes in men. It's made in the ovaries in women. And some testosterone even comes from the adrenals, both men and women. So testosterone affects any tissue that has testosterone receptors. And while it's an androgen responsible for male characteristics and effects like testes, prostate, things like that, it also affects women as it is involved in muscle, libido, sexuality, hair, bones, and general health and well-being. And Dr. Al just told me this today. I wasn't aware of this. Testosterone boosters are now the largest selling supplement at GNC in the whole country. And yet, the symptoms that people have, the increased body fat, mood disorders, fogginess, hot flashes, low libido, all the things on the screen here are not the problem. They're just the symptoms, right? So let's look at the physiological aspects of metabolic chaos. Yeah, I'm moving kind of quick, but that's a good thing. So someone comes to us, person shows up with gonad adrenal hormones. Gonads are the testes in men, the ovaries in women. The gonad/adrenal issues. But let's take a deeper look. Is it really? Well, we know that the endocrine dysfunction is both the result of metabolic chaos and the cause of metabolic chaos. That's why the arrows are pointed on both ends. And the contributors to that metabolic chaos could be very far removed. So we really don't know. The same person, due to certain weak links in metabolism, remember, everyone's different. Everyone has different weak links in the thousands and thousands of metabolic processes. We also call these vital voids in vitality and the ability to be healthy. And so they just, it's just in that person, same stressors end up with not only the gonad adrenal hormones, but neurotissue health or nerve cell health. You end up with all kinds of symptoms. It could also affect carb metabolism. That, of course, is a result of and contributes to metabolic chaos, along with detox capacity, immune regulation, musculoskeletal health. And it just kind of gets to be a big mess if no one sorts it out. Again, the main symptoms might be down there in the lower right, but it's not the problem hardly any of the time. And I'll show you why. So we have all these influences on the hypothalamus and pituitary. The hypothalamus produces this, I'm just going to call it GnRH. That tells the pituitary to make luteinizing hormone and follicle-stimulating hormone. And in females, the follicle-stimulating hormone makes their estradiol, and the luteinizing hormone makes their progesterone. But in men, because they have different enzymes, it's the same stimulating hormones coming from the pituitary, but the follicle-stimulating hormone makes the sperm, and luteinizing hormone makes the testosterone. Interesting. Now it just gets more interesting when you think of the action of these enzymes. Basically, you have cholesterol, which we know is the big master element. It's actually a fat. It's even low density lipoprotein, so it's considered the bad fat, although we don't go with that thought. So cholesterol gets absorbed, and then due to certain enzymes, you'll make pregnenolone, which on one channel gets turned into progesterone, aldosterone, and the glucocorticoids like cortisol. There's another set of enzymes that will make your DHEA, your androstenedione, which becomes testosterone. And that can metabolize, of course, and does, men or women, into either DHT, which is a real strong testosterone. You don't want too much of that. And women hardly want any, or their hair falls out. But and estradiol. So that's the basic metabolic processes. Now, automatically, I start thinking of, oh, there's a lot of ways things can go wrong here, right? But let's look at a couple of them more closely. Like for one, once hormones are made, they have to be bound up so that they don't get absorbed into the immediate surrounding tissues. So we make this sex hormone binding globulin in the liver, which prevents free hormones from being used up in the immediate vicinity. And bound hormones can then be delivered all throughout the body to distant parts. Remember, anywhere where there's a receptor for that hormone, and we've been talking about testosterone, and then it gets converted there appropriately, we hope. So we're going to look into that too. But that's a really, really important part about these hormones flying around our bodies. Now, that conversion involves changing hormones back to a usable form or into other hormones for use by the cells. And this requires the correct enzymes in the adequate amounts. And then, of course, the cells can use and get desired effects of the hormone. So we're looking at another opportunity for things to go astray in my mind. And another big part of hormones and sex hormone production and management in the body, all these metabolic processes, is excess hormones. What about those? You can only regulate them so well with sex hormone binding globulin and conversion, so they have to be cleared. Excess hormones have to be cleared and should be cleared by the liver, which is another reason we assess the liver function and keep that going good in every client. So we're really getting sort of deep into metabolic processes, and let's look at what could go wrong. So we have this GnRH being released by the hypothalamus, but the hypothalamus could be dysfunctional due to inhibition or stimulation from almost any input. It's just a little tiny thing up in your brain. It's very sensitive to the circadian rhythm and neurotransmitters, and autonomic nervous system, and other hormones, and the immune system. And some neurotransmitters inhibit or stimulate the GnRH because of nutritional deficiencies or excesses, or maybe you're just not digesting it very well. For instance, dopamine and serotonin, those are made from proteins that come from the diet. So diet and digestion are critical. It could also be suppressed by the immune system, overactive, sympathetic overload from the autonomic nervous system. You guys know what that is, because we're constantly being bombarded with TV and work and finances and driving in traffic, and sympathetic overload. Also feedback from hormones in the bloodstream, because it's very sensitive little regulator. Hypothalamus is actually like a thermostat, just reads everything. And if there's garbage going in, there's going to be garbage coming out, and the pituitary just won't be getting the right signals, right? So let's take that pituitary. That could also be dysfunctional and not produce the appropriate levels of luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone for the same reasons as the hypothalamus. Just, cortisol suppresses pituitary output, and that's stress, soaking inflammation, immune upregulation, these kind of things. And a lot of people are taking supplements all the time. They don't even know what it's doing in their pituitary. It doesn't say pituitary on the bottle. And so that could overwhelm and suppress the output. So now the poor testes that are kind of getting the blame are really innocent. But let's take the testes or ovaries, say, well, they too could have some problems. For one, the cholesterol, people are taking cholesterol medication. It's actually shutting down the parent of all their hormones. And then you got chemicals. These little organs are very sensitive to stuff in our environment. And you guys know from previous webinars, I was an environmental paralegal saving the planet. And I want to tell you that there's 80,000 plus chemicals that could all have a bad effect on all these little organs. Then you got endotoxins. These are toxins your body produces by cellular breakdown. And you got nutrients and cofactors that could be missing completely because we don't eat right, or we're not digesting and absorbing those things. And then you could have problems actually with the receptors of the hormones. So that's a lot that could be sort of going wrong now. And when we showed you kind of how it should work with sex hormone binding globulin, what if there's too much? Because livers aren't all real healthy. See the picture there. And you could get too little free hormones, lots of associated symptoms and dysfunction. So somebody, Dr. Al, you know this, you get someone with those symptoms we talked about, the low T symptoms, it's nothing to do with their testosterone or testes or hypothalamus, pituitary, any of the HPG axis. It's just that their liver isn't doing a very good job of making this enough, or maybe it makes too much of the sex hormone binding globulin. Is that coming through? Symptoms are the same?
Yeah, and so basically, the question becomes, well, if you could pick any one of these things and say that's where the problem is, but they're all coming in with the same symptoms, right?
Yeah, you're never going to pick the thing. There's no.
I know, I'm joking around. I'm joking around.
Some of these things.
Yeah.
Now let's look at the other thing. So we talked about conversion issues, and those are really prevalent. Now that's what's happening out in the cells. You get poor conversion issues where there are just not enough enzymes that work in the conversion process. Really common today with the poor diets, poor digestion, body chemistry issues, serious metabolic inefficiencies, not to mention the effects from the environment, as I just said. And we have specific things like aromatase as an enzyme leads to men converting testosterone into estrogen. Not a good thing. And testosterone in women with too little aromatase could lead to excess DHT, and then they get those kind of problems, hair falling out, and other things we'll go over maybe. But it's very interesting, all the opportunities for dysfunction. Now let's go back to where we were. We got the sex hormone binding, we got the conversion, then of course use by the cells. I think I need to work on my animation. So within the cells itself, you also have it's just called transcription, translation, and transduction things. Just you can have mitochondrial issues. I'm just trying to illustrate there's a lot of ways that could go wrong, and why we call it metabolic chaos. Same thing here. You've got the sex hormone binding globulin conversion, and then clearance issues. So our livers are just congested. We have leaky gut. We have all these toxicity in the environment and in our food and world, and you're getting very poor clearance, which means people have more hormonal issues. The estrogen to testosterone ratio is just horrible in a lot of people. And that's something we're seeing, and you can only see it on the lab test. You got to be testing to see some of these things. You'll never measure all these things. You can certainly get a good window into it. So just kind of summarizing here a little bit, you can see all the X's there where all these things could be dysfunctional, and they're not even all on here. But is it really a hormone problem? Or is it a metabolic chaos problem? Talked about all those other influences. You know, the circadian rhythm, neurotransmitter, automatic nervous system, hormones, the immune system, toxicity from the outside world, toxicity produced in your own body. Genetic issues around, things going on inside the cells. So The hormonal problems and all the other symptoms people show up with can be very far removed from the underlying cause or causes. Our job is simply to return the body to health by balancing body chemistry, seek the hidden stressors and contributors to metabolic chaos, and restore normal function to the hormones, to the immune system, digestion, detoxification, energy production, and restoration of autonomic balance, the sympathetic and parasympathetic. We run the appropriate labs, engage each client in the process of diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplementation, and that's what we're going to go over. So let me just summarize and sort of follow up by saying, let's take a different person. Remember, everyone's different. Everyone is different. They have different vital voids or weak links in metabolism. They could be purposely giving themselves carb metabolism issues by eating lousy. You have a person that eats like crap, and that creates metabolic chaos in the body, and depending on those weak links in metabolism or vital voids, they can result in fat and protein metabolism issues. All the associated symptoms that go with that. Inflammation and immune system problems, and the symptoms that go along with that. Gonadal and adrenal and hormone issues, which is what's bothering them most at the time, and that's what they come in your office for. But oh, by the way, they got neurotissue health issues too, brain fog, cloudy thinking, on top of their low libido and can't gain muscle and these kind of things. It's quite remarkable. So if we
I want to jump in
one of our promises.
Before you move that slide, can I just say something here? I just want
Yes.
I just want everyone to keep something in the back of their mind. If it really was as simple as they come in with low T or they have an adrenal problem, what would happen is everyone that you treated the adrenals would get better. And in most cases, and I practiced 30 something years, I'm going to tell you it never worked like that. Someone would come in, they might have, let's say, some type of inflammatory process going on in the body. If you only treated the inflammatory process, you would think, well, then everyone would get better. It never works that way. And the reason it never works that way is because the symptom they present with, although it's the easiest for you to predict, well, they must have an adrenal problem or they must have a gonadal problem. That's their symptoms. It's like looking for the keys under the lamppost, even though you didn't lose them there. You really have to understand that how they present to you, if you only treat that and not look at metabolic chaos, which is what all those arrows represent, how one thing interacts with something else, so the problem can be very far removed from really where the cause is, that you're going to fail with lots of your clients, and those clients are going to leave, and it's hard enough to get clients for your practice. So if you're losing clients faster than you're getting them, and you're not getting the ones that you're getting better, you have a problem on two levels: not getting people better and not building a business. So it's critical that you understand that when you're looking at symptoms, what you're seeing here is it doesn't matter the symptoms. You can only really treat one thing because it's really all metabolic chaos. Go ahead, Reed.
Yeah, that's
So thanks, Jen.
That's a really great point, and I'm glad that we're talking about this. Sorry for my voice today, you guys, but I see this all the time. Like, I work with a lot of thyroid clients, and I have clients that come to me all the time saying, I've been treated for thyroid. I've done thyroid medication, and I still feel terrible. Like, they might have gotten a little bit better, but they still feel awful on a regular basis. And that's because of all the other metabolic chaos that's been going on in their body that hasn't been addressed. And even before I became an FDN and I was a personal trainer, I would see this in clients all the time too, who were saying that they were working out all the time and counting calories and eating right, eating healthy, and they weren't losing weight or getting results. And what it really came down to, and what I say all the time, is that it's not the diet that's not working for you, it's what's going on underneath the hood. And they were all suffering from metabolic chaos. And once we address the metabolic chaos, then they start getting real results and they start feeling better.
Yeah, another thing to look at on this slide would be where it says vital reserves here. Now, metabolic chaos is different in different people because of vital voids. We have different vital voids, or what I previously called weak links in metabolism. But eventually the reserves actually start to diminish. The sort of plasticity, sort of ability to operate within certain ranges becomes reduced. And you're just going to sort of run out of gas in the tank eventually. But that's what we mean by vital reserves. People who are sick get sicker if they don't figure it out. Now, let's review here. And one of our promises was that you would learn today how to figure out what's really wrong with your clients. Well, the real problem is metabolic chaos cascade. It's right here. Hidden stresses and imbalances, if not soon resolved, cascading other areas. And the real problem is the metabolic chaos. Now, depending on weak links in metabolism, as we went on, can cause serious dysfunction in some people. And there's even more refined metabolic individuality to be dealt with, leading to disease. And finally, symptoms, which is how the problem appears or shows up, but it's rarely the problem. And if that's as far as you can go, you're going to lose clients left and right, and they're never going to refer anyone to you. And that's what Dr. Al keeps trying to sort of hammer home to you, is that the way to have a successful business is referral based. It's do a good job. So here's a very emancipating slide to you. And as promised today, we're going to go over the things you need to do. But you got to realize you have, as a health coach, one diagnosis. You can't give a medical diagnosis. That would be practicing medicine, which you can't do and no one wants. They've had enough diagnoses in their lives. Symptoms don't matter. Root cause may be never known, and that's okay. It could be undetectable, really far removed from what one predicts, even measures, like we've gone over, but that doesn't matter. The key is that you can have a positive effect upon it when you know what steps to take. So I want to say, no matter who's listening today, the only thing that you can ever treat that will give you the results you're looking for is metabolic chaos. So if you only take one thing from this webinar, wrap your hands around that. Nothing else you ever learn in the health coaching world will be as important as knowing about metabolic chaos. And of course, the steps to resolving it, they're going to show you next. I recommend you stay all the way to the end here, folks, because you'll want to be here. I'm going to give you a plan so that you can resolve metabolic chaos in your clients and for your own health too, because we're all trying to walk the talk too. And you'll be doing more for your clients, for yourself, and for your community than any other system, especially the medical system. And they have absolutely no way of treating metabolic chaos. That does not exist in their world. Am I right about that, Dr. Al?
Yep, you're definitely right. And I want to say one more thing, and then I'll let you go to this slide. You know, one of the things that I always found when I started practicing, which led me to become part of FDN, and I actually took the FDN course a couple of times, was, you know, and everyone knows this story. Someone goes to a chiropractor with migraine headaches, and they go into chiropractic treatment, and they run around telling everyone, oh, I went to the chiropractor, I finally got rid of my migraines. So their best friend goes to the chiropractor and says, you helped my friend Mary with her migraine headaches, and now this person goes under chiropractic care and her headaches don't get any better whatsoever. So she decides, I'm going to go to an acupuncturist. And she goes to an acupuncturist, and the acupuncturist starts the treatment and all her headaches go away. So she runs around telling everyone that the treatment for migraines is acupuncture. And here's the point. They both have migraines, but the problem is different in those people. It's not a migraine problem. So when someone comes to you with a symptom, the treatment can't always be the same for every person. You will not get 80% of your clients better if every time an adrenal patient walks or a low T person walks in, you treat them the same. 80% of those people will fail because it has nothing to do with really doing a this for that protocol. You must understand metabolic chaos so you can figure out what the patient has, not what the symptom is. Critically different. And I learned that. It took me a lot of years to learn that, actually.
Yep, you got one diagnosis, metabolic chaos. And when you treat it like that, you're going to resolve a lot of problems for people. So what are the steps? Well, step one is to sort it out. And that's where we run our labs, and that's what we're known for. We're known for running probably 5 labs on every person, and there's a lot more you could run. We have 70 different labs available to our graduates, and but the 5 basic ones are the HPA axis and sex hormone, which we spent the last few webinars going over. In the future, we'll probably be going over the metabolic assessment profile for digestion and oxidative stress and liver function. We'll go over mucosal barrier function, which is as critical as anything in your body as far as protecting you from the outside world and making sure you get all your nutrition and that your immune system quiet. It's where probably 80% of your immune system is. We do GI pathogen screening on every person because people just have they're very good hosts for very bad things. And we need to sort that out. And then food sensitivity screening, everyone has one. I've been running food sensitivity tests in every client for 20 years and have yet to find a client who doesn't have food sensitivities. I tell them, if you're the first person that doesn't have any, I'll pay for the test. Matter of fact, the lab won't even charge you. Now, there's a couple other assessments we do. We have a good history taking. We have really excellent surveys and things that we would have you fill out, and ways that we figure out the diet beyond food sensitivity testing. But these are the 5 basic ones. And we're going to look at a couple testosterone test results now. So we have a person, the estradiol up here. I'm just show you on this one. Estradiol's up here, estradiol's here, progesterone's here, melatonin's here. That's not a steroidal hormone, but it's really important. We check it on every person because sleep is so important. It's a big part of sleep. It also points the finger at gut dysfunction, by the way, because most of your melatonin is made in the gut, not the pineal gland. And then, of course, testosterone. So here we have the ranges for male and female, by the way. And estradiol is less than the lab range. It's also less than optimum. Progesterone is less than optimum. This person's not estrogen dominant, though, which is a good thing. We value that against the progesterone, which is fairly strong. But the testosterone is way below lab range. And you can see right there, they're going to be someone showing up with low sex hormone symptoms, fatigue, vaginal dryness if it's a female, aches and pains, hot flashes, sleep issues. This person, if you remember the last webinar, we went over the cortisol levels, which we always measure too. It's on this is actually page 2 of the same test. And the cortisol was high, especially at night. So sleep issues, we would want to check all chronic stressors, all contributors to metabolic chaos, especially diet, blood sugar fluctuations to get going. So here's another one. Estradiol and estriol are both greater than the lab range. So this person with as high as these are is obviously taking something. They're augmenting. Progesterone is 48,600. Now I'm showing you one you don't see much because look at the range for even physiological range, which is for someone on progesterone cream or something. It's 100 times that. And we see it all the time. People taking way too much progesterone cream. And then melatonin is really low. That tells you that they've got sleep problems and that they're not dealing with it the right way. They're not even going to the dysfunction. That's the baseline for what's going on in the gut, actually. It points the finger anyways, not a diagnosis. And then their progesterone, testosterone, look at that, 597. And for a male, the range should be up to about 130. So they're way over medicated, probably suffering from, excess testosterone symptoms, the irritability, the anxiety, different things like that, mood swings. And here, last but not least, we have estrogens that look pretty good. Progesterone depends on the time of the month, if this is a female, but the melatonin's high. That's a real good sign of toxicity, and things spike in that, and blood sugar dysregulation, some pathogens perhaps, and then the testosterone looks pretty decent if it's a female. I actually like it a little bit above the range for females, and in males it would actually be just moderate, middle of the range. So that's some examples of what you get to look at and go, and then you start going back to the person and and you do what we call clinical correlation. Does this help explain the way they're showing up in your office? And it always does. It always matches really well. Now, what do you do about it? You know, we've kind of gone over, we found some dysfunction here. We found some testosterone that's low, one case of high. And I think we have identified, or if we run this test plus the other test, a lot of healing opportunities. All we have to do now is apply wellness principles. But the healing opportunities we identified with those 5 labs would be all of these fairly serious dysfunctions. Now, we're not doing medical diagnosis by saying there's cortisol dysregulation. That's just, hey, you got a lot of stress, your cortisol is going up and down. There's no medical diagnosis in what I just said. We're just taking a look, saying you got to improve the underlying contributors to these imbalances. The trick, or I think the issue. Oh, by the way, we're gonna, yeah, let's do it this way. So we have the symptoms and lab values on the top. The symptoms aren't the problem. The lab values aren't the problem. The real problem is the chronic stress-related dysfunctions, or what we call metabolic chaos. And the issue that you run into next is, well, which one of these do I treat? Well, the average practitioner might only they're only going to run 1 lab, maybe 2. They're going to guess based on symptoms. Well, I think it's hormone dynamics and imbalances. They might actually discover some right here and go to treat that underlying condition down here. But what about the next one? What about the poor nutrient breakdown? What about the pro-oxidant versus antioxidant imbalances? What about that sluggish liver and detoxing, the dysbiosis and gut malfunction, energetic overload, and on and on and on and on with all these things? Are they gonna run a test, fix one thing, run another test, fix the next thing, run another test, fix it? You know, that person's gone. If you can't make them a lot better in a relatively short period of time by addressing all of these things at once, they do go down the street. Am I right about that, Dr. Al or Jen?
Yeah, you are right. And are you able to hear me okay? Because someone said they were having problems hearing us. Could you guys hear me okay?
I can hear it perfectly fine.
You're a little quiet. I can hear both of you well.
Okay, cool. That's what I wanted to know. Thanks, guys.
So, yeah, and I 100% agree with what you're saying here, Reed.
Okay, 100%. So if step 1 is identify the healing opportunities, step 2 is apply wellness principles and fix everything all at one time. So when we apply wellness principles and address all healing opportunities at once, we would use diet. And diet has an effect on every cell, tissue, organ, system, but only if it's the exact right diet for that person's genetic requirements or metabolic type. There's no one diet that's right for everyone. So if you don't have a system to help them, your clients, determine the right diet, then their diet could remain as actually a contributor to metabolic chaos instead of something that's going to help sort it out. Now, we all know rest is important, but you need to use the lab test to find out what's really going on and a sleep hygiene coaching method to make sure you and your clients are actually getting non-REM level 3 sleep for at least 5 hours a night. It's the non-REM deep sleep that you need to raise your hormones and detoxify your body. Now, exercise, everyone knows exercise is critical, but there's no way to be healthy if you aren't getting proper movement in the body. They're saying nowadays that lack of exercise is the new smoking. We're not going to go into a lot of detail on that, but this is all in our education. And then, of course, stress reduction. Probably the biggest area for us. It's really critical because without the proper labs, you will not be able to address the hidden stressors and dysfunctions. And food sensitivities could actually fall as much under here, stress reduction, as it could under figuring out what the right diet is. You kind of get 2 birds with 1 stone with that test. But there's the GI pathogen stream, there's the parasites, bacteria, funguses, viruses, and all the environmental things, including their personal care products and household products and stuff like that. And of course, it's last but certainly not least, we'd have to say that supplements are critical because food just doesn't have enough nutrients in it anymore. Soils depletion has ruined food, and it might look good and healthy and might even be a bit juicy. And even organic foods don't have enough nutrients. We are organic to avoid pesticides and herbicides, kind of a stress reduction thing. But food isn't good enough, so we have to use supplements. Not only that, but they can be used therapeutically to stimulate or to support certain organs or systems for a certain time period. So this is a magic formula. Now, the way we present this, the way that we teach this, and the way that we apply this in practice after having run the labs, in other words, it's all lab guided, so effective we're granted a trademark by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office.
Yeah, I think that's the critical point here. Everyone recommends diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplements. But the problem is they recommend them and they're not based on the individual needs of the person with metabolic chaos. The point Reed's making and why he's received a trademark for the program is because these are unique to that individual, the diet, how much rest they need, when they need rest, the kind of exercise. All those things are based on that individual person with metabolic chaos. These things we all know everyone recommends, they just don't work for most people.
You're right. That's it. So this is no light matter here to be able to apply all these wellness principles to every cell, tissue, organ system, the entire organism. And when you know how to do it, when you have obviously someone has to run the program, right? You got assessing, step one, run the lab. Step two, create the program, and then someone has to run it. Well, that's where coaching comes down. We simply coach up that vital reserve and improve their vital reserves. People can come to us on half empty, and your job is to coach them up on diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction supplements. That treats nothing specifically. You're not practicing medicine, but you're working on their vitality, their vital reserve. And as cells and tissues and organs and systems return to normal function, guess what? They feel better. They have really high quality of life and energy and sex drive, and they lose a few pounds, and their thinking clears up, and all the stuff that they've been told are vague symptoms are going to go away. And we do that not just by coaching up the vital reserve, but we can figure out what the contributors to metabolic chaos are and coach those down. You restore gut function. You clean the liver up, and all the ways that those, remember the arrows were pointed on both ends. So you clean that up. That's not practicing medicine. That's being a really good health coach. So was that person a hormonal adrenal fatigue person? Or were they a metabolic chaos person? Jen, you even said, and I'm busting you a little bit, you said I have some thyroid clients. What you really mean is they came to me and their doctor had told them they were thyroid clients, but they really were metabolic chaos clients.
Exactly. That is 100%. Like, that's just what they identify with because that's what they've been told. But ultimately, like, that's why they're not getting better, even though they're taking thyroid medication or they've done other therapies. It's because they really have metabolic chaos going on.
As I said in the beginning, the medical doctor treats the test results, and that's why people will come to Jen and saying, I've already been to see my doctor. He put me on thyroid. I still don't feel well. Because the end result is we do not treat the lab. We recognize lab results are a symptom of an underlying metabolic chaos problem. You need to be able to recognize that. Reed, I think I'm seeing your, oh, there you go. It looked like I was seeing your slides. Yeah.
Yeah. So last minute touch-ups, you can never improve a slide presentation enough, Al. So, no, the answer is no. It's not a hormonal adrenal fatigue client. If you treat it as such, you're going to hit and miss. And your clients are going to go down the street to someone else with a better understanding of how to get to the underlying causes of condition, a better understanding of how to sort out metabolic chaos. And they will be transformed and fill your practice with clients who do. So my question would then be, what are you going to do with your next client? Now, I'm an unabashed solicitor and recruiter for health coaches. I love health coaches. I love health coaching. I think it is taking over the world. I think it's the future. And I'm one guy with one course, but we think we're at the top of the heap. And you got to figure out now that you know this, you kind of almost are like, oh crap. I've been treating people for digestive issues or, leaky gut or immune problems or, one thing or maybe another, maybe a couple things. But if you're treating specific conditions, first of all, you're risking practicing medicine without a license. And it's happening. One thing about health coaching is the bigger and bigger and bigger it gets. And now there's thousands and thousands of health coaches. And we need tens of thousands more. But doctors are going to be looking at it pretty hard to make sure that we're not sort of scratching around in their sandbox, if you know what I mean. So you need a system that's going to help you stop losing clients because you don't know how to heal them and yet not getting any hot water. It's got to be a science-based system. You got to run the right labs, interpret them properly, use individualized protocols so you're not treating it all the same. Really just resolve metabolic chaos, understand it thoroughly, becomes your mantra. Be the last person they need to see and feel really good doing your best work, helping clients to feel and perform at their best. That's our value add right there. That is what we help health coaches do. Feel really good, really helping your clients, and it definitely pays the bills. So here's my plan for you. I said stick around to the end. I appreciate all of you who are still here. Matter of fact, this is just growing and growing, and we're doing very, very well on time. So we'll have some time for questions. And we want you to. I'm saying join the world's leading health coach training program. Number 2, complete the program. Get the investigative skills and tools that actually unravel metabolic chaos instead of just treating symptoms or instead of just treating test results. We all know how to manipulate the numbers, but that's not what's going to fix them and keep them referring people to you. You really just need to identify healing opportunities, what's really wrong, and apply wellness principles unique to each client. And grow your business by getting real results, your client's health and well-being. So, now Jen asked me, last time we didn't go over my curriculum. So Jen, I added one slide, just one slide, folks, and then we're going to get to how you can learn more. And there's 7 modules on the lab work, case studies, documentation. It's very robust. It's college plus level. Most of our grads do have, or like Jen, she came to us, she already had an undergraduate in kinesiology, for instance. We have biochemistry. We have people from completely unrelated fields. But because we're going to teach you everything you need to know about being a health detective, all the physiology, anatomy, biochemistry involved in the labs, strictly functional interpretations, no medical diagnosis, and laden with plenty of case studies. So you'll start to get the idea of how to do clinical correlation. There's 5 modules on the DRESS protocols. It's really, you don't need a background in nutrition or sleep therapy or exercise physiology and these kind of things. We'll teach you what an average health coach needs to know, which is more than your client knows, on diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and of course, supplementation. I don't have my own brand that I'm going to try to sell you, but I know a lot about them, and I'll teach you what ingredients need to be involved. There's 3 modules on business and health coaching, onboarding, how to basically decide do you even want to help a person. And I'm going to teach you how to make sure they want it more than you do. You will never have to beg someone to please hire you. It's going to be reversing that. You get all the results and recommendation sessions, packaging, pricing of services, exactly how to operate your practice. You get 6 one-on-one mentoring sessions. I don't think any other course offers this, to practice what you learn. And when I do my post-grad interviews, a lot of the graduates say this was the most valuable part. I mean, they loved all the learning and all the stuff, but role playing on the onboarding, the client practice, client reviews, final exams, and an oral exam, and they are really valuable. And then all my documents I've collected over 20 years: client intake forms, legal forms, terms of service agreements, and educational charts, graphs, and not to mention all the intake and case management forms. And then you have a community, and I probably underestimate this, but it's really strong. It's really amazing how people in birds of a feather flock together, and they like forming a group. They're very loyal. Like they like T-shirts with our name on it and stuff. They want to be part of the clan. I've deputized thousands of people, and then it's kind of like this perpetual motion thing. You just have to keep feeding them. And so there's private Facebook groups for each level. In other words, one for the trainees, one for the grads, and a weekly call and support. And it's a very robust course. It takes an average of 6 to 8 months to complete. People have done it in 4 months who probably don't have a lot else to do. And people have taken up to a year, but it's just up to you. It's self-paced. All grads, again, get that post-grad interview with me personally. And I go over and I've made the course better by listening to who took it. We have an amazing alumni group for the graduates that are the professional members, the Association of FDN Professionals, and we give continuing education credits, business training discounts, many more benefits to that membership. So, Jen, I'm going to go over what people can do to join today. Just go to fdntraining.com. Easy to remember. Jot it down if you need to. Jen could put the link in the answer box there, chat box or something, so you could actually just click on it. But don't go yet. You'll want to know to enter the code SEX500, because today we talked about sex hormones, and that will save you $500 off. Payment plans are available. You can register by phone. Expires soon. And so let me show you how I came up with that price. First of all, there's all those modules that I talked about. It's really an $8,000 value if you compare it to other courses out there. The 2 labs that you run on yourself and the mentoring that goes along with it, the personal mentoring, is at least $26,700 value. That's what we would charge a client to do that work on them. And of course, the business module I think is absolutely priceless. But if I was going to charge for it, I would charge a separate price of $900, bringing the tuition up to over $8,300. We only charge $59.95, and that includes all the community support, all the documents, everything, payment plans available. But as I just told you, you could save if you join today. There's the link, the code, save $500. And guess what? Those of you who are attending are going to get a chance to get, actually, if all of you went to get this, you better go now, because it says here first 10. You know what? Everyone attending today, Jen, we're going to bump that up. There's a ton more people here than that, but we're going to give them, anyone that signs up by Sunday is going to get that extra $500 value, $497 for the advanced hormone testing. You will get that course when you graduate. It's a graduate course. So we know, we track it. We know who signed up with a special offer, and that's what you're going to get. So I'd be open now to taking any questions, going back and revisiting some slides, making sure you got it. I'm sorry for those of you who had some audio problems. That working fine between me and Jen and Dr. Al. We can all hear each other. And some people are reporting that they are finding that they heard us just fine. So I don't know what the issue was.
Yeah, some people I told Reed to check what speakers are selected in the audio. Some of them didn't have the right speakers selected, so they were seeing the slides, but they weren't hearing the audio. But we're fine on our end. It was really on their end.
Great. So yeah, if anybody has questions, I see some coming in, definitely type in your questions into the chat box. And I just want to emphasize, as somebody who's gone through the FDN course myself, I'm a practicing FDN practitioner. I have my own business. I love to do these webinars with Reed and Dr. Al because I love our mission. I love the community. And, Reed is being really humble about what is included in the course, you guys. I have taken a couple other health coaching courses that are out there, like Institute for Transformational Nutrition, Andre Nakayama, some of hers courses, Health Coach Institute, all of those. And all of those courses provided me with, yes, very valuable information and stuff that I could use. But I can tell you that by far, there is nothing that has ever compared to FDN. If you really want to help people on a deeper level, if you want access to lab testing so that you don't have to get the runaround from doctors, your clients don't have to get the runarounds anymore, then this is the course for you. If you want to dig in and be cooking with fire, as Reed says, then this is what you want to be doing. It's been huge for my own personal journey. Like, I was having health issues the fact that you have to run some of the tests on yourself when you go through the course, like, opens up so many insights about your own personal health. So the price of the course is worth that in itself, because I'm sure, as most people that have gone through our course, like all of you guys that are on the line, have probably your own health issues that you're trying to get through as well. And the price of the course is worth being able just to work on yourself. And then you get all of these tools that you get to work on clients with also. Our community is extraordinary. Like, FDN has been around for over 10 years. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary in August. There is no other health coaching course out there that has been around as long as us. So Reed really put health coaching on the map for a lot of us. And because of that longevity that we have, our community is much grander and wider than anything else that's out there. Nobody will ever be able to catch up with us. And the collective knowledge that you get to tap into in the community is huge. Like, when there is a tough case that I don't know how to deal with, I know that I get to lean on my peers, and I get to go into our private Facebook groups, or I get to schedule a session with one of our clinical advisors or our mentors to help me if there's something that I don't know or that I need clarity around. And that is, you can't even put a price tag on that stuff. And the continuing education that's coming out for our graduates all the time, like, we always get asked about, business training. Like, that's what people want to know. And we have multiple webinars per month that's available in our association to help you with marketing and business and how to work with clients. There's a detective hour and clinical case studies. We really support our community and our trainees, like, above and beyond what you're going to find anywhere else. So if you guys have been on the fence about this, if you've been looking at other courses and trying to figure out, what it is, what you want to do and what's the right fit for you, I would just ask yourself, like, do you want to help people on a deeper level? And do you want access to lab testing? And if you say yes to both of those things, then this is the course for you guys. As you can see, like, you got a snapshot today of actually some of the content that is in the course that we actually dive into in much greater detail when you go through the course. So I see a ton of questions that are flooding in here, Reed. Let's go ahead and address some of the questions that we have on here.
Hey, that was really, really nice of you. And yeah, I'm a humble guy. There's a lot more in the course when I put in that one slide, but you'd asked me to elaborate on that a little bit. So I just kind of went to the curriculum guide on the website and scarfed a few notes. And I completely left out that you run 2 labs on yourself and work on yourself. That being worth the price of admission. So thank you for that.
Slide back up. Put that slide back
Which
up.
one?
Curriculum. The curriculum one. Someone asked about that. Yeah, you passed.
Oh, okay. So now the thing that I wanted to address here is Renee, and thank you, Renee, for being here. I see your question here. I just graduated from women's health coaching program. We'll be working with fertility clients. How would it fit into that? Perfectly. As a matter of fact, I've helped women get pregnant just by returning them to normal health, not even knowing that infertility was their complaint. I had a client who just said she had, digestive problems and this and that and a bunch of stuff. And she and her husband both actually became my clients, and they were working together on their health. And she had parasites, she had all this stuff going on. So they never once mentioned infertility. And so one day I get a call, literally my phone rings, I pick it up, and it's her. She goes, Reed, her husband, Bill and I, we're just on our way home from the doctor's office, and guess what? We're pregnant. And I said, oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. What else am I going to say? And she goes, no, you don't understand. We gave up 9 years ago. We gave up. We never mentioned it to you because we just had given up. And we know it's your fault. Like, as soon as we left the doctor's office, we both looked at each other and said, this is Reed. This is what Reed did. It's because I'm so healthy now. I've just returned her body to normal function. Now the body would allow her to get pregnant. Now that's not the first time it happened, and it's not the last time it's going to happen for an FDN. I mean, we find this happening all the time. As a matter of fact, I even started to ask my clients, hey, are you like on doing something to prevent pregnant? Because a lot of times you want to make sure you finish the program. In other words, you'll get pregnant before you even want to on this kind of program. because and you really should finish all the protocols and all the you should take a year off trying to get pregnant. And so Renee, in your profession, if someone comes to you and says, I want to get pregnant, you could say, no problem, here, let's do this and this, and they might get pregnant, but beware that they haven't really, they probably should take some time off and completely fix everything so that they could have, not only get pregnant, but have a really good long-term gestation and have a really good healthy baby. And once it's born, that they don't go into some kind of a nasty slump and all these other things. So there's a lot more around fertility than just fertility, if you know what I mean. Again, that's just a symptom, and the underlying causes and conditions can be very far upstream. And in that case in particular, I really recommend fixing all of the healing opportunities that could be identified before you even try to get pregnant. Follow?
I follow that. That's
I follow.
well said.
Yeah.
I actually recently did a live event on fertility with a number of people who specialize in fertility. This is really in response to the question. And these were not medical doctors who were using hormone injections and things like that. But really, there are so many things that can be a cause of someone with a fertility problem. It really emphasizes the whole concept of what you learned, which is the symptom of being the inability to conceive, let's say, or to be able to maintain that conception could have far-reaching effects further down the line, which is what we've been talking about. So that metabolic chaos and learning how to deal with it is a key ingredient, and it gives you many more opportunities than that a person or a client that comes to you will have any other way. One of the things I say when we do these webinars, the biggest challenge everyone has on this webinar right now is, some of you might think, well, should I sign up for the course or should I not sign up for the course? And you're making that decision. It's the wrong decision. Let me tell you what should really influence your decision. Tomorrow, when you get a call from a client and says, oh, I think I have an adrenal problem or I have a digestive problem, how are you going to be able to honestly say to yourself, oh, gee, now I know they probably have a metabolic chaos problem and I don't know what to do about it. So that's really your choice. Your decision now is really, are you going to be able to take a client and feel good about the protocols that you're going to give them? Because if you're going to still treat a user this for that approach, they're coming in with all these symptoms. Sounds like thyroid. I'll treat their thyroid. Sounds like they have leaky gut. I'll treat their... You have a problem on your hands. That's the challenge you have right now. Not whether you should take the course or not. You should take the course. The question is, what are you going to do if you don't take the course? That's really your challenge.
Yeah. It's like you're almost obliged to take it now. So I'm looking at the notes here, and Renee, I'm glad we were able to help you. Jessica's asking about mold toxicity, and you nailed it. That is a hidden stressor. So when we go through stress reduction, we look at the environment, we look at the household, for mold, of course, but for chemicals. People get new furniture, and everyone in the house gets sick because new furniture is full of crap. The fire retardants are absolutely toxic. They give people headaches, and that cascades. Remember how the cascade works? So Andrew's asking about the lab tests and the cost. Look, labs vary. We have no control of the cost. And so one thing that I am not very tolerant of with clients is them whining about the cost of labs, because here they have this problem. They come to you with major problems. They've been diarrhea and migraines for every day for 3 years, and they're going to complain about spending a few $100 on a lab. That's kind of insane. So I don't deal with insane people. So the cost of labs is incidental. What's really going to cost them is they're going to have to pay you up front, and we collect our fees up front. My business model is there's 2 fees involved, mine and the labs, and I have no control of the labs. You have to pay them. Let me give you a little quick story on that. I got a new dentist a few years ago because I really needed some serious advanced work. And he said, yeah, I can help you, but I need you to go get an MRI. I can help you, which is what we say. I can help you, Mrs. Smith, but I need you to run a few labs. Now he said, I can help you, but I need you to go get an MRI. I went like the next day, I got an MRI. It was $800. But I didn't care. It's like, that's what he needed. That's what I got him. And I didn't whine one bit about I didn't mention the price to him because I'm a gentleman and I know that's what the doctor needed. And so we don't really deal too much with all these lab fees and things like that. They are what they are. And I don't mean to be rough. I'm sensitive. I'm a nice guy, but I'm telling you, this is business to business right now. You guys are all professionals. You're all health coaches. And you need to have a handle on money. And don't bring your own money issues to this game because you'll be struggling forever. So on getting the time frame, getting labs back for clients, the moment that someone hires me is when they give me their credit card over the phone and I charge them my fee for a 3-month program up front. And my fee is my fee. I can tell you what I charge, but there's people that charge a lot more, like 2-3 times what I charge. I'm easy. And then of course I ship them the kits the same day. And all I have to do is pick up the phone and call the lab and say, hey, I want you to send this kit, this kit, this kit, and this kit to this customer. And they do it. They ship it the same day or next day at the latest. And so now I know that person has their kits within a couple of days. It's up to them to get the kits done and back. There's saliva, 2 urine tests, a stool test, and one they got to go get a blood draw for. But that one comes with instructions and easy to follow where to go get a easy, cheap blood draw. So yeah, they got to get those done. I expect them back within 3 weeks or 2, but 3 weeks is plenty of time. If they don't have it done in 3 weeks, they're lagging. So you need to tell them, what I do is I set up the next appointment. Okay, I'm gonna talk to you Monday at 4 o'clock, 3 weeks from now. And then they have to have them all done by then. And you can track them and you can babysit that a little bit. And but I don't talk to them until I get all the lab tests in. And then that's when the 3-month program starts. It doesn't start from the day you hire me. It starts from the day I get all your test results in. That's fair. It's very fair. Now we're cooking with gas. Now I can give you your complete dress protocols. Start working on the weakest area first. And in 3 months, I've taught them everything I know. I've taught them everything about diet and rest and exercise and stress reduction and supplementation. And I have fed that person for a lifetime. You teach a person to fish, you feed them forever. And that's what we do. And it doesn't, no, they can continue to work with you beyond that for a new deal. The deal was I teach you everything you need to know in 3 months. And that might involve 5 or 6 or 8 sessions. But the prices I charge, that I get paid very handsomely for my work, and I earn every dime of it.
Mm-hmm.
So don't want to sound like a smart butt, smart ass, but we've kind of been doing this for a while and kind of have a system. And if you follow it, you're going to get results. If you start reinventing the wheel, you're just, it's usually because you're fearful. It's usually based in fear. Oh, I don't know if I could run all 5 labs. Oh, geez. That means I have to ask them for a lot of money and spend well, get used to it, because that's what it takes. Remember, these people are coming to you with a problem. They've had it for years. They've tried everything else. It's really bothering them. They're depressed because of it. They don't even live a normal life because of it. And so quibbling about money is absolutely the wrong approach.
Mm-hmm. And I'll jump in here, Reed, because as a practicing practitioner, like I can tell these people, like I, charge $6,000 for my high-end coaching program that includes 5 lab testing, and I have no problem selling that. So really, that is a money mindset issue. If you're struggling with that, like you don't believe in your value or your self-worth, or you're attracting the wrong people, and you need to hone in on who your ideal person is. And when you do that, you'll start targeting people that are committed to creating change and committed to going through a program and that are willing to invest in something, because this is one of the things that Reed teaches us is when you're interviewing or intaking a client, you ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, like, how important is it for you to do something about it right now? And if they're not a 9 or a 10, then they're not somebody that you should be working with. And we talk about that in the course. And I live in San Diego and I work with clients all over the world. So I see some people who are asking here, Reed, about accessing labs in Canada and Australia. And I can tell you that, one, we have partner labs in those areas. So we have a partner lab in Australia. We also have one in the UK and Europe to help facilitate labs around the world. And as somebody who lives in San Diego, I have clients that are in Australia. I have clients that are in Canada. I have clients that are in London. I've had clients on the little island of Malta, off of out there in Europe somewhere. So this is work that can be done practically anywhere. There are, depending on the country that you're trying to ship labs to, there might be some hoops that you have to jump to. Like, it is more challenging to get test kits into like China, for example, but everything's tough to get into China, right? So this is work that you can do all over the place. And I work virtually from home. So I work with my clients over the phone. I love to travel. So no matter where I am in the world, I can always connect with my clients and be doing this work too. But a lot of our people also have in-person practices. They work out of what we call like a brick and mortar, because they're either partnering with a chiropractic or they're partnering with a doctor, which I love Sarah's question here, Reed. She says, what is the longevity plan for your business? Where do you see this business in 5 to 10 years? And, what is that quote? Like, how many health coaches do we need per doctor to turn healthcare around? Like, what is that you always say all the time?
I don't know. What do I say all the time?
It's that quote where you're like, we need 10 health coaches for every doctor. I think it's actually a quote from somebody else that's on our advisory board or something.
Listen, I've trained maybe under 3,000 people, and we need 200,000 people. So there's a lot of room for growth. So listen, Dr. Al had to leave. I got to leave next, and I think that what you guys should know is that you can go sign up now and just sort of don't jerk around with the thing. Jump in on this, become part of our community and family. We would love to have you. And we can do this we have people in approximately 50 countries. Now, some have to work a little bit harder than others for some of the supplements and some of the lab tests. And in some sort of remote places, like Jen said, we're still figuring it out. But it doesn't take away from the fact that you can learn all of this, learn the methodology and learn the protocols. And almost everyone has clients in the United States and places where you can run labs. So like right now in the Middle East, don't try to run a lab in Syria. It's not going to happen. Or Lebanon. You're not going to get kits in and out of Lebanon or Syria, some of these places that are war torn or where, but people there want to be healthy, and they're good people, and they'll learn and things like that. But that's not the best place just to do that business right now. And I'm just saying that from experience. But in Canada, Australia, United Kingdom, most of Europe, United States, of course. And even in the U.S., we've got some, there are parties that would have monopolies that think we're scratching in their cat box. We're not. We're completely unrelated to medicine. We don't care about medicine. We don't, have anything to do with medical diagnosis and treatment. We leave that as a free monopoly. But doctors can have that monopoly on diagnosing and treating disease. Keep it. We want to find out what's wrong with people and actually fix it. And that is our backyard. And so jump in on this thing. If you do have remaining questions, I have a great course registration staff on the website. They'll chat with you and different things like that. But you know in your gut if this is right for you. So I recommend that you jump in and start attending the weekly Friday calls. You could attend the one, we have them, I'd say, 48 months of the year. There might be an odd Friday we don't do a call, but they're every Friday, and you get right on there and introduce yourself. You jump right in onto the trainee Facebook page, and you tell them, hey, I'm the newest FDN and I'm from, Idaho or wherever, or Australia, and like, does anyone want to be my study buddy? And just different things like that. Hold each other accountable. It's an amazing community. Something I did not know was going to develop when I started teaching FDN is the camaraderie and the sort of, what would you call it, esprit de corps,
Yes.
Yeah.
So real quick, Reed, I just wanted to let everybody know if you guys have more questions, and you want to talk to one of our course registrars, I just put the link in there for you guys. You can actually go directly and schedule an appointment with them on that link. It's just functionaldiagnosticnutrition.com/counselor. Or if you just go to our website, functionaldiagnosticnutrition.com, there's a little chat box that will pop up and you can continue chatting with them with more questions that you have. The last two questions on here that I don't think we addressed, but I think are pretty important. So just real quickly, Andrea was asking, are only 2 lab tests included in the cost of tuition? No, we actually include 3 lab tests in there now.
Yeah, we had a change up in that, Jen. I forgot to tell you, it just happened yesterday.
Okay.
The one test is on hold. We can't offer that right now. But if you want to run extra labs, you'll get a great deal. Just to put it that way, and we'll give you the counseling. I can't include that IP test right now for a little while longer.
And Sarah, your question is yes, we do have labs that you can order for children to accommodate that as well too. So this was great, you guys. Love how interactive you've been.
Thank you.
Join our community. We'd be excited to have all of you. You'd be great FDNs from the questions that you've been asking, and we'll either see you in the community or we'll see you on the next webinar.
And Philip, remember, for those of you who attended, I am going to make a video that's just what Jen promised you'll get. I will try to finish it up tonight and have it out to you by tomorrow. But just be patient, and I'll get you that. It'll be worth waiting a couple of days for if you have to. Okay?
All right, guys. Have a good evening.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.